Hi, I'm Casey with Keepin' It YYC. Today I'm joined by Frank Ossm of 3D Printed Homes. How are you today?
I'm really good, thanks. How are you?
I'm great, thank you. I'm going to jump right into the questions and just have you tell us a little bit about your business.
All right. Well, we realized a few years, well, I realized a few years ago, back in about 2017, that 3D printing wasn't only really cool for modelers and things like that, just, toys, useful things around the house. Um, about 2016 or 2018 or so, you started looking online and on YouTube, and you see companies trying to 3D print walls and houses. They're looking at building houses, and about the same time, you start realizing, well, this whole country and the world is having this housing crisis. We can't build houses fast enough to deal with, emergency situations around the world, disaster relief. We have our veterans, people that went to war for us. They can't find a place to live because they can't afford it. And if we build them homes, we can't do it fast enough. And then if we do that, it still costs a whole bunch of money to do it. You've got a lot of people that work their butts off every day, and they come home with $2,000 a month. And that's not even nearly enough to pay rent. Never mind, go buy yourself a home for you and your family. And 3D printing a house and 3D printing construction really seems to answer a lot of those questions, because you can 3D print, well, the numbers that are coming out now, you can 3D print a house for around 30 to 50% less cost than traditional brick and mortar.
Wow.
We're seeing materials come out that have engineered properties for heat retention, strength, that have engineered chemical properties for printing in arid, warm climates. Our company is specifically going to gear towards printing in northern climates. We want to print on permafrost and go print whole villages up in the Northwest Territories, things like that. So you're going to get something that's, once we learn how to approve this for code, you're gonna see an industry that right now is worth about $1.3 million a year. In about 2024, you're going to see the industry blow up to about $3.5 billion a year.
Yeah, I believe that.
So, and we're one of the many companies. There are about somewhere between 65 and maybe more now companies worldwide that are working on some form of 3D printing. And then a handful are actually have machines up and going. And then there's a few, there's Apicore, Cybe, Cobod, Icon. These companies specifically are actually taking contracts and building actual houses that people are actually going to live in. It takes a really quick Google search, 3D printed homes. If you don't come up with my website very first, then go on and look for some of the videos. It's fascinating to see the different solutions to the same problem. And this is what I really love about it. It's just, it's the same solution, the different solutions to the same problem. And people go, well, aren't you afraid of competition? It's like, no, I relish the competition. We're going to come up with a dozen or more solutions to this problem. And if we all get to do it, then the problem gets solved. And that's really what it's about. It's not about going out there with a new industry. It's about this huge problem that's been a problem for decades. And we have a chance to solve this with a new industry and new technology. And that's what new technology is all about, solving problems. Right?
Yeah, and it's a very exciting technology. So it'll be interesting to see kind of where that goes.
Mm-hmm.
So then I guess the second question is, what are you guys doing right now to kind of adapt in this environment?
Well, we were in the middle of some grant applications before COVID. Let's call, it's going to be before COVID and after COVID. It's going to be a thing now, I think. So pre-COVID, we were really, we were going to SAIT. We were just in the middle of our first initial discussions with them about having them help us develop that material that I was talking about. COVID came along and it went down to now we have to have online meetings where we're just really trying to come up with strategy. How do we move forward with physical testing in a world where we need to be socially distant? So that's kind of what's going on with SAIT. We haven't really switched gears so much as we're looking for different ways to do what we wanted to do to begin with.
Yeah.
And testing is a huge part of what we're doing right now, because we know that we can just go buy a machine, bring it back to Canada, throw their mortar and mix in it, and start printing homes. It's obviously not that easy, but really we could do that if we had the money. But the industry, but the materials is probably 75 or 80% of the whole challenge. You can squirt anything out of a nozzle, but it needs to do a lot of different things while it's working, and then it needs to do a whole lot of different things when it's dried and it's doing something else. A brick is a brick. When you put it on the ground, it was a brick before and it's a brick after. It doesn't have any other job than to hold itself together. But a mortar mix that we're talking about has to be engineered to be mixable, extrudable, and then it has to be hard enough to support its own weight within about a 10-minute period.
Wow.
So there's a lot that goes into that material. So it's a huge part of what we're doing, and it's we're right in the middle of that right now. We're answering a lot of the questions there. And so to deal with this COVID thing, the grants that we were applying for sort of went away in a puff of smoke. And now we have an advocate in Ottawa who is talking to the government and who's trying to look at some of the policies that were either getting in our way or policies that get in the way of small business and small technology businesses really being the solution to the economy then growing in a different way. So are we going to rely on the old infrastructure to just sort of wait and hold and boost it up? Or are we going to take this opportunity to take these new technologies and boost them up instead? I have a hard time speaking to that because I'm not the advocate. Again, I'm the designer. So, if my CEO was here, he'd talk your ear off about what's going on in Ottawa right now. But the way we're dealing with it is really we're looking at the policies. We're looking at, okay, well, what were the roadblocks before to this sort of technology? How has this environment we're in now changing how we look at that? So, for example, we really never looked at, a truck driver or a nurse as super essential or, nobody that we would really, accolade. And nowadays, it's all over the place where we can't thank these people enough.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a change in how we think about things and how we look at how we want to get into the future. Do we want to go into the future by band-aiding these solutions with like subsidized housing and things like that? Or do we want to go into the future with a real solution to the problem? And that's what we're trying to do. So we're looking at the policies that'll allow us to do that.
Yeah.
So really more than just what my job is just sit here and draw and design houses. Those guys are working really hard at looking at those policies. And then it's going to help not just our company, but any other companies that are small that can't quite get access to these grants or can't quite get access to the research personnel and to the information that they need, just because they're not big enough. For example, there's a grant where you can get $3 million from the government, but you have to put in $1 million yourself.
Oh.
There's another one, it's at $10 million, and it's a minimum $10 million. You can't ask for any less, but it's for startups.
Yeah.
I don't know a lot of startups with $10 million who don't have 6 other startups that they've already succeeded at.
Yeah.
So those are the sorts of things, without speaking too much to it so I don't get anything wrong, those are the sorts of things we're trying to bring down. We're saying, okay, well, we need access to funds like this for starting these things up, because what we're doing is going to help a lot of people. We're going to bring a new industry, therefore new jobs. We're going to create homes for people. We're going to do a lot of good things with this. So, the money should be there for us. But now, the money's there, but you need to give us $3 million before you can get your $10 million. And say, well, if I had $3 million, I probably wouldn't need your $10 million. I mean, I don't know much about money, but you sort of think that way, right?
Yeah.
So that's the sorts of things we're trying to do with that, because we can't be out on the ground right now looking at things. Even our team can't be together right now to look at things. Usually I've had a meeting with my CEO once a week and I bring a model, we look at it, we say, okay, well, how do we solve this for accessibility? Can anybody, whether they're in a wheelchair, crutches, or 8 feet tall, can they get in this tiny home and then live peacefully?
Yeah.
So, it's hard to answer to those challenges without being able to get together. So of course, like anybody else, we're using Zoom and we're using online meetings for that. It's crazy how much you can really get done just sort of hashing back and forth, as long as you can trust everybody to go and do the physical work that they need to do.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, it's a lot. I mean, it's a lot of work. You guys are trailblazing in a brand new technology. So you're laying the groundwork for so many people to come after you.
Well, we're, to be honest, and I kind of admonish my other board members. I have 3 more partners, so there's 4 of us. But I kind of admonish them when they say the same sorts of things. We're not really starting this.
No.
It's only new to almost everybody. But back in the 90s, there were companies that were realizing that, hey, I'm printing my architectural models and with my 3D desktop printer that cost me $8,000 back in the 90s. And I'm printing and they're looking at these gantry systems that could be easily scaled up. Bigger everything does the same thing. There's no real difference in the math when you scale these things up. You could literally, if you had the materials that could withstand the weights, you could literally scale these things up to the size of an apartment building and print an apartment building with a gantry printer.
Yeah.
Not something we would do, but that's a possibility. And that's what they were seeing in the 90s. They're going, hey, I'm printing these little buildings on my desktop. Like, why can't I just make this really, really big and do the same thing on the ground? So they did. And then back in 2014, Apicor printed in Russia, of all places, printed a little round house. It wasn't even 400 square feet. They printed it in less than 24 hours, finished, painted. They put a cloth roof on it. I'd call that cheating, but there was a roof on it. They put a little fridge, a little stove, counters. They had a TV in there, a couch, it was like a little tiny home that was 3D printed. And it was like from nothing to a livable abode in less than 48 hours.
That's
where
amazing.
I could go in there, sleep, eat, watch TV, good to go.
That's amazing.
So a regular brick and mortar house, even a tiny home, Homes for Heroes did some in Edmonton, cost them $1.5 million, took months to build. And these were tiny homes. And what they did is amazing. We at 3D PC, we love Homes for Heroes. We absolutely love them. We hope to one day help them and work with them. Because what they're doing is amazing. But they spend a lot of money doing it, and they spend a lot of time doing it. We could have done that entire village that they did in a year. We could have done it in a month. And we could have done it at half the cost, if not more.
Which would be amazing.
And then there's a lot of people that are going to be out of jobs too, with the construction industry the way it is. Now, housing is going to decline. You're going to have deflation everywhere. And a new industry like ours is a place where somebody out of work in construction who maybe doesn't have the exceptional skills required to build a home has enough skills to take care of a job site and monitor a machine.
Yeah.
You don't have to dig holes. You don't have to pour concrete. You don't have to know how to measure anything. You just got to be a good hard worker and be diligent and responsible. And there are a lot of people like that around. So, and they're all going to be out of work.
Yeah.
So we're poised to sort of not, people say, well, you're going to take jobs away. Well, no, we're going to provide jobs now for the people that can't seem to quite get into that part, into the other part of construction. We're going to take all the stragglers and we're going to make them specialized. They're going to turn into specialized people, whereas before they were not.
Yeah, create jobs. Of course, it's going to be a huge industry, I imagine. So it would be creating jobs, different types of jobs.
We feel a little rushed because we do see this huge surge. It's almost like a volcano coming up out of the ground for the first time. The ground sort of rises and falls, and it rises and falls, and we feel like we're standing on that. There's 150 little companies underneath going, what are they doing? How are they going to solve that problem? How are they going to solve that problem? And once we solve all the problems, once we solve all the big challenges, and we start getting approval for our materials, and we start getting, there's a code in place, a building code in place for 3D printing homes, that's going to burst, and you're going to see any number of companies with 3D in there somewhere.
I believe it.
Yeah, it's going to be insane. So we weren't the first, which is what I was speaking to. We weren't nearly the first. There are other companies that have really been solving these problems, and we are also kind of trying to piggyback on that. We're lucky that we have the opportunity to sort of create the material, though, that's going to be used in Canadian and northern markets, I think.
Mm-hmm.
We'd really like to proprietary make that proprietary, and then be able to sell this material to other 3D companies who maybe they want to start a 3D, but they don't want to go through all the research and create the material. Well, 3D PHC has a great material. It's already approved for code. It's already approved to print on the Tundra and all this great stuff. Let's just buy that.
Yeah.
You know, so we would offer that for sale.
Yeah. Easier for them not to have to put all that money and time into the work as well. That's a really good idea.
We hope. Yeah.
So my third question is, what can people in general just do to support local businesses right now?
To support local businesses?
Yeah.
Oh, that's pretty obvious. Just shop them, you know. Businesses. I just built my own. I just built a new computer. I did a do-it-yourself computer because I needed a lot more, and I decided to just buy the parts. So I really pushed hard, and I waited for parts. I waited longer than I had to make sure that all the parts were coming from Canadian distributors.
Yeah.
I'm shipping with Canada shippers. So the same thing goes, you know, if you got to go to your stores, you know, the stores that are open, be courteous, kind, and respectful to everybody, which we should have been doing pre-COVID anyways. But I hope that this sort of catches on a little more. We realize how much effort people put into their jobs, especially the lower paying ones. And really, you know, the answer to that should be the same for everybody. Find, if you want something, find the local business that does it and just get it from them. Even if you got to pay $5 more, $10 more, I don't know what you're buying. It could be $1,000 more, who knows? But, you know, buy it from them. If you can afford it, then buy it from them.
Yeah.
If you can't afford it, then don't.
Yes. Yeah, that's fair. That is fair because people spend out of their means.
We live in a first world. We don't need a lot of the things that we need. I lived in a trailer for the last year before I moved to this place. I lived in a 14 by 10 foot trailer, not a motorhome or a trailer home. It was like a pull trailer.
Yeah.
Talk about tiny living. And, you know, realized how little you really, really need.
Yeah.
You know,
my last place was 500 square feet before this, and I thrived. I enjoyed my space. I just got rid of a lot of stuff. So
you do, and that's where the tiny home movement I really like about it is that, and I really want to sort of sell to that group of people. These are people that don't want to live lives inside their houses. These are people that want to live life outside their houses. So better to have a big lot in a small house than anything else.
Yeah.
You know, just build the house for what you need. You need to sleep, you need to eat, you need to hang out when it's stormy outside.
Yeah.
Other than that, make your outside space amazing. Put covers, put awnings. You know, you can, with all that money you save not building a huge house, you can make your outside space amazing. Build a pool, a Zen garden, you know, right? If you didn't have to put an extra 500 square feet on your house, how much money did you save doing that at what, $27 a square foot? That's a lot of money for Zen garden.
Yeah.
You know, that's a lot of money for the stuff that you love and the stuff that's going to make you feel good, and just the space. And that's why these houses behind me I really liked a lot, was because that's kind of the environment I want to see our houses, even within the city. You know, where our lots are separated by trees, not fences.
Mm-hmm.
Fences are small and unobtrusive. They're meant to keep your animals in the yard rather than to keep the views of things. You know, we want to really strengthen our communities instead of keep drawing more and more lines on the map. You know, do these sorts of communities where you've got these environments where they're separated enough that you can have your privacy, but at the same time, it's not one jail cell next to another.
Yeah.
Which is how I see the way they're building houses now. On my block, every house is exactly the same. Every fifth house is red.
Mm-hmm.
And that wasn't the choice of the homeowners. They didn't get to choose what color their house was here. This makes me really sad. I almost feel like crying when I notice this in Calgary or anywhere, where you go and buy a house for $315,000 and it's attached to two other houses and you didn't even get to choose the color. It makes me really sad. And you know, and it's the community association that gets to choose the color and what you have on your lawn and the fence. And you know, I really want to change those sorts of policies too, because they're very subjugative. It's first world problems, greatest example. You know, my neighbor 3 houses down doesn't like that I painted my fence white. So he's got to make the homeowners association say, okay, nobody's allowed to paint their fences white in this neighborhood.
Yeah.
It happens. And it's absolutely ridiculous. So again, I think a lot of what we're doing, the more I talk here, really, a lot of what we're doing is changing policy too.
I
Because of
like
the
that.
new industry, the new technology we're bringing, we have to change how we look at it. Just like SpaceX, they changed how NASA looked at going into space.
Yeah.
Now NASA is
Yeah.
looking at it as a commercial thing rather than an exploratory thing. And it took SpaceX to do that.
Yeah.
And I'd like to be part of that with the 3D printing industry, is say, let's not just change the industry, but let's change how we really look at what we're doing with it. Are we just building houses for profit? Are we going to do it in a way that not only helps the environment, it helps people own houses, it helps deal with the housing crisis, it helps our veterans, and can go on and on and on. And it does all that at once. It doesn't just have to do one thing, like one community for veterans, one community for low income, one community for apartment buildings. You know, these sorts of things really solve all those problems at once with the same building, with a single building. And when you can design any way you want, these circles behind me are very plain and boring considering what you really could do. You know, and even interiors. You can imagine not a single flat wall where you didn't want one. It's all big curves and vaults, and you know, the pillars inside your house are shaped in artistic ways. You know, a pillar in your house going from your bedroom to your living room might be just as much of a statue as any sculpture you might see in a museum.
Yeah.
And you didn't have to sculpt it. It was printed into the building. You know, arches outside, things to the outside of the building. You put aesthetic components in there. Have you ever heard of lithography?
No.
Or lithophanes? Lithophanes is something that really became popular in 3D printing, where you can take a photo of anything and 3D print it so that when you held this piece of plastic up to the light, the photo shone through, photorealistic. And if your printer is set well and your settings are really good, it really is jaw-dropping to see how realistic. You took your photo, 3D printed it, held it up to the light, and now it actually turned that photo into a 3D image.
Wow.
As you're looking at it. And that's all that does is using gradients.
That's very cool.
Thicker plastic is dark, thinner plastic is lighter. It's really simple, but it takes a 3D printer to be able to do that. So imagine being able to do that in the side of your house. So
instead of like a window, having a,
because 3D printing is so cheap now, maybe I can 3D print a house for my grandparents on our back 40. This is a very specific situation, but you never know.
yeah.
And you know, they love their grandkids, big family. This is a very, very family-oriented people, you know. And so when we decided to design their building, we designed a very flat back wall that we could actually print an image of their grandkids in it, so that when the sun rises in the east in the morning, it comes up to the wall and shines. And when they wake up for their coffee in the morning, there's a picture of their grandkids shining through the wall.
That's amazing. That's a beautiful.
Wouldn't it be? I don't know how. I know that it's possible. I don't know how we're going to accomplish it. I just know that it's going to happen one day.
You're going to figure it out.
Yeah. Just, and I really can speak more to the artistic side of this company than how we're really dealing with a lot of things. And because I really want to see 3D printed homes, not just the corporation, but the industry, stop building square stuff.
I love it.
Drives me nuts.
All right. Well, I love that answer. My final question for you is just, do you have any tips and tricks you can give in relation to your area of expertise?
My area of expertise is really in design and in solving problems. So I try to put myself in the shoes of the people that we're trying to understand. So if I'm designing a floor plan, I don't just imagine myself walking through it. I imagine that I'm 3.5 feet wide trying to roll through it. I imagine, what is it like to, I've even taken my chair and sat it up against the cover. So what am I, I'm sitting here, how do I open this drawer? What's getting in my way? Am I opening this drawer? So some solutions to that I've come up with is, removing doors. Who needs doors? When you live by yourself, especially, you need a door on the bathroom. That's it. So my latest floor plan has only one door in it, except the outside doors, I guess, so 3 doors. You know, so we solve problems like that. You're going to look at, we really want to look at how is the world changing from COVID? And it's really got to be centered on that. How do we want the world to change from COVID to be a better place? We have this opportunity where people are really watching and paying attention. And there's a big group of people out there that really want it to be different, but they just need somewhere to sort of put their energies to. And these are the sorts of things you want to put your energies to. If you can start a company that builds, container houses, sea cans are a great solution to the housing crisis. If you got a lot of money to throw at something, then throw it at it. Throw it at one of these projects. Any one of these projects. Home for Heroes is a great place to throw money at if you really want to help these things go on. For me, it's all about, let's make this world a better place. Let's take this opportunity to make the world a better place through the things that we can do. And as far as tips and tricks, I know we talked about before, and I mentioned that, maybe some tips are like, how do you start a company from scratch with almost no money? Which is kind of what we did. We, 4 of us got together and said, we spent about a year just having conversations. We didn't put any money in at all, just trying to decide viability. And then when the 4 of us decided that it was going to happen, we all had a conversation where we said, okay, our time is worth money. We have sweat equity. So we put in some of our own money. We did a bit of a crowdfunding. We did a little crowdfunding. We ended up with a few $1,000s in the bank. But most of what we're doing is sweat equity. We really just work our butts off every day doing what we do best. So our tech guy, he does nothing but research the technology and how we can manage our systems, even create our own systems. Our construction guy, he's really got his nose to the grindstone as far as how do we test these materials? What are the best materials? What are they using? What do they use in other parts of the world? What's coming new on the scene? He's trying to answer all those questions. He works a lot with SATE. And again, it's not spending money. This is all just nose to the grindstone, having conversations, doing a lot of research, and just knowing our stuff really well. And a big part of it is actually 2 guys on our team, an unofficial guy and an official guy. The official one is Ed McNabb. He's our CEO. We've only just recently declared him our CEO, and that's because he puts the term nose to the grindstone and gives it a bad name. He really just every waking moment, I can almost feel him from here, wondering who to call next, who to send another email to, who else can I talk to, how can I advocate. He's on the phone every day. He's emailing, senators and politicians, people that I never really want to speak to. But he does that, and he does it really, really well. He's got a lot of experience with big companies before the oil crash. So then he's got a partner in Ottawa where they work together and they advocate for our industry. They're in there, and I think this is the big part in what we're doing is we're really, really aware how, even though it's been going on a long time and other companies are doing it, we're still aware how new it is and how 3 out of every 4 people we talk to are just learning it for the first time when we're talking about it. So it's all about advocacy. It's about convincing governments, convincing agencies that what we're doing is viable, that what we're doing is a real solution to the problems that are going on, specifically the housing crisis. So a big part of what we're doing doesn't cost any money. It just costs a lot of sweat equity, nervousness, awkward conversations, doing what I'm doing right now, doing this interview, getting on these different Facebook groups. Again, doesn't cost any money to do that. But eventually, we can't buy a $300,000 machine with no money.
No.
So, and that's where that goes on. So you can only get so far, but to start it, you can do quite a lot with no money and not having a lot of, you don't need an office. You don't need a place to meet all the time that you pay for. There's a lot of things that you don't need, and there's a lot of things you can get done by doing that. So I guess that's my advice. That would be my big tip, is just really wake up every day wondering what you can do. Let's do at least one thing that's going to move my thing forward, my company, my idea, and if it's 4 o'clock in the afternoon and you're going, what should I do next? And if you can't think of one thing you did that day to move yourself forward, and however you want to move yourself forward, then you better do one thing. And I think it's just like anything. You take a drop and you can fill a sink eventually. It's just that one thing every day. And some days you might get lucky and do 10 things.
Yeah.
One day you might do nothing. And then the next day you get to wake up with this huge guilty conscience and going, okay, I better get a whole bunch of things done today. And hopefully you do. But, you know, I guess that's the advice. Nose to the grindstone. Just you don't have to be out there spending money, but you do got to be out there talking to people, telling people about your idea, getting people interested. I'm hoping through this interview that people will come to our Facebook page more. I'd like to get more conversation going on there, to sort of just raise awareness for what we're doing, especially for here in Canada. But we post a lot on our Facebook page, but we don't get a lot of conversation from it. And I'm honestly not that sure why. So it would be nice to have some input, I guess, from people. If you're watching this video, let me know. Go there and tell me what we can post differently, and we'll try to post things that you guys want to know about. So, yeah, I would love to get some more people over there and having more conversations about things.
It's a very interesting topic. So I'm surprised there's not more people being engaged. Maybe it is just awareness.
Well, we do get a lot of engagement as far as like likes and, you know, shares and things like that. It's a woe is me thing. I've got sour grapes. I mean, like, why can't we have a conversation about it? You know, it's great. I love the shares and I don't want those to go away, because it's all about creating awareness. But at the same time, I mean, I'd love to have a conversation with some people and, you know, answer their questions and really find out what the concerns of people are. You know, if you go there and you say, you know, everybody's got, you always got a first opinion. You hear, okay, they're going to 3D print houses. So everybody's got a first thing that comes to their mind, whether will it light on fire? Will it stand up to floods? Is it really hot in the summer? You know, those are the sorts of things I would love to address on the page, and get that conversation going. We do address a lot of those things. A lot of those things are still proprietary. There's some of our solutions that we can't talk about right now. So it would be nice to have conversations started by community people in our community and that way you're getting the right now. Like, this is me, I'm concerned about this right now. I have a question, I'm asking it, and here's your answer. Just to get more engagement on the website, because as we move forward, we're going to need more and more. A bigger community will help us move forward. Let's face it. You know, the more people we have to advertise to, we're going to start an online store pretty soon, where we're going to start pre-selling tiny homes and backyard suites. That'll happen sometime this year. So I really like this. My job really is to strengthen our community and try to get people in there. But I'm such a behind the scenes guy. I'd rather just, you know, do all the designs and work on the videos and edit everything out and, you know, not worry about being up front and out or anything like that. But that's got to change. It's how I'm getting out of my box. There's another tip, everybody. Just get out of your box. Do that one thing that you don't really feel comfortable with. I'm nervous as hell right now. So, you know, but yeah.
That was my thing with these interviews as well, I was like, I don't know if I want to be on camera.
It's tough. I've got 2 cameras pointed at me right now, and I started that because I just having them pointed at me. I feel like someone's looking at me. I'll put a glove over one because people are looking at me.
You never know. I put tape over mine.
People are looking over me. I'm not going to do that. Yeah. So yeah. Really, it is all about hard work. You can do a lot in this world with hard work. It was true back in the day, and it's true now. You can throw money at it, or you can do it with hard work. And I think you get a better result with hard work.
Probably something you're a little more prideful of anyway.
Absolutely.
So that's actually all the questions I have for you. We do kind of like to have you finish the interview for us, though, by just like looking into your camera, stating your name, the name of your business, and just asking everyone to keep it local, keep it YYC.
Okay, I'm going to get it wrong the first time.
That's okay.
Okay. Thanks, everyone. I'm Frank from 3D Printed Homes Corporation. Keep it YYC and keep it local. I got it wrong. I told you.
But you called it, though.
Thanks, everyone. I'm Frank from 3D Printed Homes Corporation. Keep it local, keep it YYC.